Hi guys, welcome back to the Small Barn Workshop. In this video I start to build a set of storage cupboards in the eaves of our guest bedroom. And along the way open up two new tools provided by Banggood, an Enjoywood bench square and the Hongdui Table Saw Mitre guide. Ooh, shiny! So far I've cut my 18mm MFC to length, and now I'm setting up the router table to machine the plinth part of the carcass sides. Okay, so these don't need to be too tight for this because I need to pull the timber out, but it will, when I do the bigger sheets, it'll just stop me going like that with them. And really for this I'm just going to start going and come out. Just need to move that out a little bit so I get a bit of router cutter. I'm only looking to take about 5mm out maybe. Don't need to take a lot more out just to stop that potential rock on the floor. And they don't need to be symmetrical. Start roughly 100 in, finish roughly out, which I can do with a fence in this location.
There's John. Hello, John.
Hello, Margie. Right, let's cut the first one. There, so that's what we've got. You see that? Just means that if my floor's out, basically I've just got two legs, and then I can actually just dress them if I need to, just to make the thing level. Okay, so we've got a little rebate up. I've just taken the sharp edges off all the cut edges. So the first little tool we've got is this one. Little Enjoywood square. Now the only thing really that a square needs to be is square. And that is square. Cool. 300mm long, metric scale only. And then there's little holes that you can put your pencil in and mark in millimetre increments. Sadly I never have a propelling pencil. You probably need something like 0.5mm lead. Tell a lie, I do have a propelling pencil. And it does go in. So in this case, my toe kick needs to be 75mm high, which is there. And it needs to be 50mm in. 50mm is there. So I need to cut all them out. A few ways I can cut them out by hand. Cut them out with a jigsaw. The bottom's going to be there. That's going to be my bottom. Or I could just set them up and just roughly cut them out as much as I can on the table saw and then just finish it off by hand, which I think is what I'm going to do. Table saw 50 there. Right then, it's not going to impede the blade. There's nothing impeding the blade there, so got a bit of a offcut somewhere. There it is. I'll do one with the offcut. There's a little Allen key just to adjust that, should it need adjusting. Sometimes they get dropped. I used to have a really nice square with a rosewood stock on it, really nice, and I dropped it on its point and it knocked it out of square, and that was riveted. It didn't actually have any adjustment on it. Unfortunately they do get dropped and get knocked out of square every now and again, and a square's not a square if it's not square. So when I was doing them, I had the opportunity just to decide which was a good edge or a bad edge. If the edges had been damaged in transit, for example, or indeed if I damaged them, I could just give me the opportunity to work out that I was going to cut the toe kick out from the good edge and not the bad edge. So the bad edge will be up against the wall. Okay, so next I need to cut the plinths to length. So I thought we'd have a look at the contents of this box, which is a table saw crosscut guide. From what I believe, before I see it, it's a more elaborate version of the one that's hung up to your left, my right, your left. So let's open it and see actually how it does compare to that. Double wrapped. We've got some instructions with this. Now, one of the things that I found with the other one is there was no instructions and I couldn't work out how to square it. I found out eventually, albeit after I released the video, but I have to say that that one does work fine and cuts perfectly square. That's heavy. So we've got 1 piece, 2 piece. Ooh, shiny. 3 pieces. 4 pieces. 5 pieces, 6 pieces, 7 pieces, 8 pieces, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 pieces in the box. This is an Hongdui, I hope I'm going to pronounce that correctly, Hongdui Mitre gauge, HD MG21 Mitre gauge and fence. And there is instructions of how to put it together. There is instructions of how to slide it in your saw, square it, how to telescope it. Actually quite comprehensive instructions. Right, let's put it together then. So this fits in a standard table saw T-track. Just make sure that that's actually the case. So that's, yep, that fits in there. And there's some adjustment. There's these little adjustments. You just tighten that grub screw down, which sort of spreads these nylon plastic washers and creates a better friction fit. And actually looking at that, I think these are just replacement parts for that. Anybody with a standard T-track on their table saw, this will fit. That is really weighty. Ooh, look at that. So the other one, the Enjoywood one over there, actually has 2 box sections, one which slides inside of the other, and this actually just has some rods which lock off with that. So that sits somewhere like that with all the measurements up the top. So let's follow his instructions, seeing we've actually got them. There seems to be 2 parts in this then, even though it's actually one tool. This is a TBO1 and that's a HD KS22. So the MG21 is a combo set. The fence has an angle range of 140 degrees, 70 degrees to the left, 70 degrees to the right. The one on there does 60 degrees, so there's a little bit more angle in this one. Built-in angle scale magnifier. That one throws in there. There is a little plastic washer like that sits inside just to lift the bottom so you don't get any collision, but this doesn't collide. Right, okay, so these go through there. Okay. Take that out. Take that away then and put that in. That's it. That just had me stumped a little bit because that won't let that go in. You just need to move it out to let it go in. Okay, so that's a stop. That's nice. We've got an adjustable indicator which seems to work up to maybe 5 or 6 millimeters. So that'll zero the blade in once you've fixed that to the fence. So we'll have to zero it in later. Obviously we've got that. That moves that up and down to the size. And then we've got a really small incremental of about 1, 2, 3, about 3 millimeters. So we'll just need to zero everything in at the moment, and we need to make sure it's square. The mitre function there, and a very little magnifying glass there, and then the lock off. I found straight away the 2 adjustments for squareness. Turn that to extend it. I do like that, it feels very nice. So that's the extension of it. There's a little pin there, look, which screws into these. So when you're measuring from something with a bevel or a mitre, be there if you can see that. So really it's magnetic as well. Very nice. Deflection stop blocks. So these are deflection stop blocks. Serves 2 functions: to support the main block to eliminate deflection during its operating. So this fixes onto that. Yeah, there's a fixing in the end. So that fixes onto there. Basically act like a guide rail across your saw should you need it. And then this one here, again, very nice, very, well, look at them little tiny grub screws. Magnetic. So this then sits in. So basically if I put that in there, it just gives me a second point of reference, so I can cut piece 400 and a piece. Actually, I see. So the face of this there is magnetic, so it magnetises to them. So I can put that in there, magnetise it on, so that I can leave that on loose. Move that all up and down, and then if I want to cut 2 sides, I can move side 1, side 2, like that. Not sure I'm going to use that for now anyway. And these tiny little grub screws are just to fix various bits and pieces together, to fix that end on. These are just probably spare pieces because it can be used for other things, because they sell the 2 parts separately. Right, let's put all these nuts and bolts away before I lose them. So if I move this to as near the saw blade as I dare, say there, tighten them up, tighten that up. Now when I cut there, you kind of have to offset it slightly to avoid clashing with the blade, and then you don't quite have a zero. You cut something at say 600mm, and in essence it's about 602. So with this dial in here, I'm guessing I can amend that. The other thing about these is that for them to work properly, you've got to take your crown guard off, and I don't like to take my crown guard off, so it'd be nice if I could have this set. I don't know if there's enough play, I'll find out in a minute, whether I can have this set outside the line of the crown guard and then I can still cut with the crown guard on. I might be asking a bit too much there, but anyway, right, but with the crown guard in its highest, it's fine. We're clear of the blade, that's fine. This is, I don't know, about that long. So at the moment this is set to 270mm, so let's cut 270mm and see actually how big that is. So that is 272mm. Okay, set that to 272, which is there, and then move this back with this little fine thing, move that back to 270, like that. Then have another cut. I'm now cutting 270, probably point something. £270mm. Lovely. That's exactly what I want. Now, square. That isn't bad. It's only a small piece. So, we're locked on 0. We're locked on 0. This, I just need to give it a little nip to tighten it up a bit. Better. So, back to us build. I need to cut 551mm. So if I move that to there, lock that off, that should be 480. Let's just do a tape measure check to make sure. 480. This out, I'm guessing so, millimetres, says 551, which would be there. Tighten that up. That should be 551, and it is. I have to say, when I got the other one at the beginning of the year, I think I actually said in the video that I didn't really think I'd use it that much because I'm used to cutting on either on the Mitre stage or on my track saw set up over there. I've actually used it such a lot, so I'm sure I'll use this a lot. So we've got a few things to cut with this over the course of this project, so we'll see how we get on with it. We've got to cut some panels with it soon, so I'll see how square it is. It looks perfect on the square at 3-inch, but when we cut some of the larger panels, we'll see how square it is there. Right, my camera's out of charge, so I'm going to go and have some lunch while you guys have a charge too, and then we'll come back and cut the rest of these, crack on with the build. I hope you all enjoyed your lunch break. Right, so whilst you've been away, I've been upstairs and measured the pitch of the roof, which is 52 degrees. And I was hoping I was going to be able to cut it on the saw, but my table just isn't big enough. It's nothing to do with this. It's just that the table isn't big enough, even with the sliding carriage extended. So I'm going to have to cut them with a track saw, which is a shame. I was enjoying using that saw guide. Interesting question. Can I make in the future, can I make a table, like a sacrificial table, a table that fits over the top of this, that turns the job site saw into a panel saw? When I used to work in the joiner's shops years ago, we had huge panel saws as big as this workshop, where you could run 8x4 sheets through them on various angles. Just haven't got the table size with this, which is a shame. As I said, we're enjoying playing with this. However, whilst you have been away, found 3 things that I think is quite interesting. First of all, the degree movement is indexed per 1 degree. 10, 9 degrees, 11 degrees, 16 degrees. There's a little click there for every degree. That's very nice, which was a shame. I set this at 52 degrees, but I just don't have the length. Second thing is, I turned it upside down because it slides so good on the table, because it has this like nylon slider on the bottom, so that's really good. And whilst I turned it upside down, I realised all the imperial sizes are there. If you just take these 2 grub screws out there and there, you can just flip these indexing upside down, refix them, and you've got imperial measurements. So that's nice. So this is a really nice piece of kit. So I'm going to move on now onto the rest of the build, and I'm going to have to cut these angles with a track saw, but I did have a look on Banggood's website, and they're around about €220 for me. Obviously it'll change wherever you are in the world with currency exchange, but it's almost 3 times the price of the Enjoywood. So you've got to factor in, if you're going to use this a lot, if you're going to do a lot of precision work, then it might be worth the investment. If you're just going to do some cross-cutting and the occasional 45-degree cut, unless you do a real lot of work at the table saw to specific degrees, it's probably not worth upgrading that to this. But if you haven't got one and you've got €220, it's a very nice piece of kit. Right, let's get on with the build.